Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Dallin Malm, and this is the Momentum Theory Podcast. This show features conversations with athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs who are committed to mastering their craft, not for the sake of mastery itself, but to better magnify their talents and serve those around them. My guest today started out in a small town called Glens Falls, just a little bit north of Albany in upstate New York. He turned his late night shooting sessions into one of the most electrifying scoring runs college basketball has ever seen. He led the nation in points, and he turned a mid-major program, that's BYU, into a primetime event on a national stage. He rode that wave of momentum into the NBA and was forced to reinvent himself and pivot to overseas basketball and 3-on-3 tournaments, where in that event, he climbed all the way to the world's #1 ranked 3x3 basketball player on the Olympic stage. All of this while he was learning to handle the hype, the pressure, expectations without losing his foundation and his center. In our conversation today, we'll get into the identity behind the jersey, why his faith and his family are his true scoreboard, his thoughts on stewardship over talent and over money, and how he's pouring his experience into USA Basketball as the general manager and to early stage founders starting their businesses. Please enjoy my conversation with Jimmer Fredette.
Great moments are born from great opportunities.
You ask, what is our aim? Victory. Victory, however long and hard the road may be.
This will be remembered forever as the greatest day in the history of the Tour de France. You believe in miracles? Yes!
I imagine that being in the public eye for so much of your life, the hardest part of that is dealing with how so many other people see you, especially in different phases of your life. And I want to start to give listeners a perspective with how you see yourself. So it would be good to start with this in 3 layers: how you view your own strengths, how you view your weaknesses, and how you view the opportunities that you've had in your life. So let's start with the strengths. What strengths do you feel like you've had your entire life that you recognized when you were young?
Athletically, I always knew I was very athletic. Like I for some reason had really good hand-eye coordination. I was bigger than most of the kids, but I was still faster and kind of stronger and could kind of just get my way around a field or a basketball court different than most people that were around me. So for some reason, I could just tell like things just came easy to me, athletically, just being able to kind of to maneuver that and do well in sports. So that was something that I learned that I had like a real skill when I was younger. So that was one thing. The other thing was I just, for some reason, like I was always very happy. Like I was a happy person. I was a happy kid growing up. I loved life. I enjoyed it. And I always was trying to have fun. And I was always trying to be kind to people. Like I just, for some reason, I just don't have a real, mean bone in my body. Like I just don't. And it's probably comes from my parents. Just kind of genetically, I just was always a fun-loving kid. I wanted to have fun. I was never trying to make fun of people or do things. I was trying to always uplift people and trying to be nice and trying to be helpful and kind. And I think that that's something that, I think that most people are like that. But for some reason, for me, I knew that was kind of just my personality. And, so it was hard for me to like say no to people or to be mean. Like I just didn't feel good about it when something, maybe where I was a little bit meaner or something, I would always feel so bad about it because that just wasn't my personality. So I think those 2 things specifically when I was growing up, that's kind of, what I knew, my skills and kind of my personality, that's kind of who I was. And I was fun loving, good kid, tried to be kind to people, and I was a pretty good athlete.
I love that. Well, those skills have really translated well throughout your career. Like it feels like you've always been a really good relationship guy. And I would add a strong communicator as well.
Not always. I haven't always been a strong communicator. That's one thing for me. Like my wife Whitney has done an incredible job for me, because when I was younger, I was more quiet. I've always been a lot more reserved as far as like, I was a fun kid. I was kind, but I didn't speak to a whole lot of people like that I didn't know. So I just wasn't great with it. But once I met Whitney and I was traveling a lot for basketball, she was like, you have to talk to me. Like, you got to tell me exactly what's going on in your day. I don't know what's going on. Right. So she's really helped me understand how to be a good communicator. And now I've done it a lot. You know, whether it's through the media or church callings or whatever it is, I've had to speak a lot. So I've gotten much better at it as I've grown to get to where I am today. But I didn't start that way specifically.
What skills do you want to develop over the next 10 years of your life? What strengths do you want to amplify?
Yeah, I mean, that was one, like, to go to weaknesses, that was definitely a weakness I had. And I'm trying to continue to get better at that, because I think that that's something that will be important for me. And I've definitely worked on it a lot. I think for me, just making sure that I understand, continue to have, an understanding of people's situations. I think that we've been very blessed in our lives. I've been fortunate to be able to go out and have a great basketball career, and we live in a great place and have a great life at this point, and we're very fortunate to be able to have that. But not everyone has that in their life. There's always something going on in someone's life, whether it's my life or someone else's life. There's always something going on. So I want to make sure that I continue to have that empathy and understand people and their situations and what they need. And what I can specifically do to help, and continue to try to be as charitable as I can be, giving up my time to help someone else. Because I get into sometimes where I'm just so busy and there's so much stuff going on, and I'm just thinking about myself and what I can do to get better, or what I need on a day-to-day basis. And I need to do a better job sometimes of trying to hone in of like, when can I find time to just go and do service and help others? And, I've tried to do it, and I've tried to focus in on it, but at the same time, I'm not the best at it still. So I'm still trying to work on that.
Has that always been important to you?
As far as helping others and charity and those types of things?
Well, yeah, because it's like, it's a great thing to hear, but when you put it in the context of your life and probably the demands on your time from a lot of other people, the business ventures you're in, the things that you're over, it's a lot easier said than done. Yeah. It's remarkable, but that's got to be really challenging.
Yeah, no, it's challenging. It's time. There's only so much time in a day, and what's the best priority at the time? Mm-hmm. And I remember the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so I listened to a lot of church talks and from our prophets and apostles, leaders of our church. And one of them that I really love is one by our president right now, Dallin H. Oaks, and it's called Good, Better, Best. And it's a general conference talk, and it talks about what you could do with your time. There's good things you can do with your time. There's better things you can do with your time. And there's best things that you can do with your time. And how can I prioritize that? And I've always had to look back on that and figure out, okay, what is the best thing that I could be doing with my time right now? Is it scrolling social media? Is it, playing with my kids? Is it actually getting some work done? Is it training? Is it traveling to something? What is the best use of my time? And I still try to figure that out to this day, because it's hard. It's hard to prioritize the right way when you want to do something, but what's the best thing to do at that time? It may not be what you think it is or what you want to do specifically. So having to balance that has definitely been a challenge. I think it's a challenge for a lot of people out there. And I continue to work at it and do the best that I can, but hopeful that I can continue to find what that best thing is for my time.
That's something that's so, I completely agree with that. It's especially unique in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because there's so much, so following the example and the words of the Savior, he is constantly asking people in his ministry to take up your cross and follow me, mm-hmm. and sell all that you have and come follow me. And he draws attention to the widow's mite, mm-hmm. at the giving box, and it is all that she had. And the theme of that is like, the Lord wants all of us. And I hadn't really thought about that. It makes me think of an experience when I was in the MTC. I served a a mission for the church in West Texas. And when we were in the MTC in the training center in Provo, at the time it was Bishop Casse he came through, recently ordained apostle, which is awesome. Yep. He is he's from France, and he's a master pianist. And he talks about how him and his wife had reached a point in their career in life where they had purchased the thing he had wanted his entire life. This beautiful grand piano, expensive, fancy, and he finally had it in his possession. And shortly after getting it, he got a call from Salt Lake saying, "We need you to leave France and move to Salt Lake, live in a smaller apartment, and now do church service full time."
Yeah.
And he talks about, it was at that point that I truly understood how when we covenant with the Lord, that we will give him our lives if necessary. He said, I realized it wasn't just in death, but it was also the way that we're choosing to live.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing perspective to have. One other thought on this is I recently had a conversation with the renowned oil painter Josh Clare. He really emphasizes art with a capital A. And the concept is, he explains it the way that he likes to use the biblical reference of God created man. He created Adam, and it was this perfect creation. But then it wasn't just the creation that was complete. He breathed life into it. Right. And it was the life that made Adam the man and made him who he was. And he compares that to a work of art where there's some pieces, whether somebody considers them technical or non-technical, there's a spirit to some of them that are really moving. And he said you can only do that when you're not seeking to be the God of your work, but you're partnering with God in your work. Right. And he breathes life into that. I've thought a lot about that. And so when you talk about dedicating your life to service and helping others and what can I do with my time, it's that pursuit of partnering with God to breathe life into the work that he has for you. Yeah,
totally. And you don't always know what that work is, until you actually get into it. And then kind of Heavenly Father just will lead you in that right direction. And sometimes service is just to your own family, right? It doesn't always have to be outside of that. Sometimes it's to your wife or to your kids. Like, are you serving them the way that you should be serving them? Just the people in your neighborhood and your communities. Are you serving in the way that you should be? And so it doesn't always have to necessarily be a church calling. Sometimes it is. And then other times it's not. It's like, what can you do to minister? I love that word, right? Minister. That's a big focus in on our church. So what can we do to minister to our families, to our people, and just try to focus in. If we focus in on charity and the pure love of Christ, how does that change our lives? Yeah. It changes our lives for the better. No matter what you say, no matter how you're feeling, it's always going to change our lives for the better, whether we realize it or not.
So while we're on this topic, you're serving in the bishopric of a congregation, right?
I am. I'm second counselor now. Yes.
That's so awesome. Yep. And I remember you saying that on another podcast, you were called like the day after your retirement.
Literally the day after I got retired. Like, I announced the post, and the next morning I woke up to an email saying I need to go into the stake president's office, which is crazy. Obviously, that wasn't the timing, because you Bishop had been thinking about that for months.
It takes time,
right? Like, thinking about who am I gonna put in as a counselor. It wasn't like, oh, I saw that and then I put it in. So it just was so funny that it was the exact day right after I announced my retirement that I got in and was named as a second counselor. So.
I love that. For the listeners who don't know, that the bishopric is the leadership over a local congregation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And in that leadership, it can be pretty intensive work at times. There's a lot of sprints and that type of a work, but it's unpaid service. Every Sunday you're up on the stand, you're directing meetings, and you specifically are assigned over the youth program, the young men, young women, the teenagers in the congregation. What a unique blessing for those guys to have Brother Fredette as their in their group.
It's super funny because we've been in this ward for 14 years now, and we've loved it. We've moved here and we've been in this ward, but it's funny because a lot of our ward, they're not like sports fans, most of them. A lot of them, the families, a lot of them will work at Lockheed Martin, which is here, which is a very big, kind of engineering, and they build rocket ships and all these different things over here at Lockheed Martin. So a lot of them are not like sports mind oriented. So most people didn't even know who I was when I got into the ward.
No way.
So, which was refreshing. I loved it. And
Yeah.
there were some that did, obviously, and now they know who I am and understand, but they still don't know kind of like,
but they knew
watch
you,
my games.
They knew you
didn't
as Brother Fredette first.
They knew me as Brother Fredette first, and they still do as these kids. And I'm trying to make a impact on their lives, not just because of the basketball. Don't listen to me because I'm a basketball player.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's not what I want, and
of course.
that's not the case with these guys. And it's been so fun. I love it, and we have some really great youth in our ward.
What are the most important things you're trying to teach them right now?
I think the biggest thing is that they're in a different time where the adversary is everywhere, and whether it's in social media, school, all of these different things, that there's two different sides, right? There's two sides of this coin, Heavenly Father's side, and there's the other side. And what side do you want to be a part of? And you need to make a conscious effort every day to choose Heavenly Father's side. And how do we do that? We have to have, some of our minds made up going into some of these difficult situations that you're going to encounter in your schools, right? Because not everyone's a member of our church in the school, and not everyone has the same standards. Some do that aren't members of our church, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. But it's like, who can you find that, uplifts you and wants to be your friend and wants to get you to do good things with them? Trying to find those right people, and making a conscious effort to be a good person, to be kind, to be inclusive, to help others. And if you're doing that and you're choosing to try to be on the Heavenly Father's side, you'll be blessed. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have difficult times, because you're going to have difficult times. Of course. And you need to continue to push through those. And how do you push through those? You got to have good support system. You got to, follow Heavenly Father. You got to make sure to get in the scriptures. You got to pray, do all these things to try to help you push through them. So just understanding how to deal with difficult times and making a conscious effort to choose the right side in our decisions that we're making. So
how would you measure success in terms of your impact with the youth program? If you're looking down the road, I mean, they enter the program around 11 or 12 years old, and then they'll leave around 18 years old. So in that 6-year span, what would you consider a successful result?
For me, it would all just depend on, do they have a testimony of Jesus Christ? That's success. If they leave as an 18-year-old having a testimony of Jesus Christ, and that he lived and walked on this earth, and that he's the person that we need to follow while we're in this earth, that's success. Because, even like some would say, hopefully they go on a mission. Like, that means less to me specifically. I'd love for them to go on a mission. I'd love for them to do whatever it is that they want to do, to reach their goals. But where's their heart? And if their heart is in the right spot, and if their heart is pointed towards Jesus Christ, a lot of the other things that come with that will follow. So that would be success to me, is if they have a true testimony of Jesus Christ.
You're a good example of that. Were you raised in the church?
I was raised in the church. My dad is a member. My mom is not a member.
Uh-huh.
So she's still not a member. But my dad was a convert when he was 18 years old, and he's been a part of the church for a long time. And yeah, so I was raised in the church, but my mom would go to sacrament meeting, but then would take off right after sacrament meeting. And she always wanted us to be, to go to church, and to go to church with my dad and with my mom. Like, she would grow up Catholic, but she never made us go to the Catholic church or anything. She loves the family aspect of our church, and how, we're raised. She loves the word of wisdom. She loves a lot of these different things that we do. She just hasn't decided to take the plunge herself. I think it's mostly because she just literally does not want to give a talk. I think she knows if she becomes a member of the church, she has to get a calling and give a talk. I'm like, Mom, they won't make you do that. Just, you believe in this. Come on over and do this with us. But it's, I had a great childhood, and grew up going to church. Very small ward, very, very small amount of members of church in my school. I was basically the only one. So didn't have like a ton of activities and all that stuff that I attended. But I definitely grew up in the church and tried to just, be as good of a person as I could be.
Let's take that topic of your parents and pivot a little bit. I'm curious to know how you've managed like the popularity and the pressure as your career has evolved over the years. It would probably be best to break this into 3 layers. Like your number 1 would be your college days. Number 2 would be your days playing in the NBA and overseas. And then the third would be your leadership and involvement with the USA 3x3 basketball program.
Sure.
So in college, how did you view pressure as a young man when your senior season kind of blew up?
Yeah.
How did you view pressure and expectations at that point in your life?
For me, I was a little different. I was a pretty even-keeled person. Like I never get too high, never get too low. And I think with that helps a lot of times with pressure and the perspective that you have on things.
Was that taught to you, or it's just always been a part of you?
I don't think it wasn't necessarily fully taught to me. It was just my temperament. I just kind of just grew up with this, right? And so this was something that wasn't as big of a challenge necessarily for me as it may have been for other people. And I understand that I have other challenges, but I think one thing that I try to talk to people about is like, hey, how can you shrink the moment? Okay, because especially with sports, I'm going into a big game, and there's a lot of pressure, going into these big games, and I understand that, and it's not like I didn't feel the pressure. I did, but at the same time, for me, I had really high expectations for myself. I had higher expectations for myself than probably most people out there, if not all. And I think it's because of that, like whatever people thought of me, I always thought I could do better regardless. Like I could go out and score 50 points in the game and be like, I could have done better that game. Whereas everybody else is like, wow, that was incredible. Like that exceeded my expectations. Didn't exceed my expectations. And so because of that mindset, because of how I felt that way, I think that helped with the pressure of understanding like, hey, I can always get better. And then also having perspective of like, this isn't always the most important thing in my life. If I can understand that this is not the most important thing in my life, and that being a good person, being kind, being helpful, putting things in a perspective, understanding that if I lose this game, it's okay. Then I think that helps shrink the moment as well, where now all of a sudden it's like, all right, I did that, but I went out there and played that game and I either won or lost it, but now, I'm still going to go home and be a good person, be a father, and be a good teammate, be a good friend, go do my thing. So if you can shrink the moment somehow, that's why I always tell people that to help with the pressure. Can
you take me to the moment in your college career where it was the hardest to do that?
I would say NCAA tournament for sure. Like the NCAA tournament is by far the most pressure filled because it's one and done, right? Like you either win or you lose, and you either go home or you don't.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the most pressure filled. It's the most media. It's the biggest stakes. Everyone's watching, so because of that, like that is by far the most pressure filled you can have. You're in an NBA arena playing against great teams that you don't have any familiarity with, on CBS with people calling and having an incredible experience, and just like hundreds of media members around, and knowing you're on national TV, that everyone's watching. That is by far the most pressure that you can feel in college basketball.
So let's pivot now to the pros. When you were in the NBA and international, and how did you find ways to adapt to the cultural norms? In the United States, it's probably really familiar for you, but when you played in China, when you played in Greece, what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was definitely different. Look, when I first got to China, the Shanghai Sharks, who I played for, were not very good the seasons prior. So because of that, we didn't have a great fan base at first. So I got there, and the first game that we played at home, it was maybe 50% full for this arena, and it wasn't super loud, and kind of just, not like a traditional BYU basketball game that I, had grew up playing. Or
You probably
even
hadn't played in an
professional-
arena that poorly attended in a long time.
in a long time, right? Because in the NBA, every arena is pretty full, most of the time, and you're, if not packed, and great fans, and they're huge arenas, and then all of a sudden you go to China and it's, there's 5,000 stand arena for Shanghai, maybe 5,000 to 6,000, and half of it was full. So you're playing in front of 2,500 to 3,000 people. And so for me, I was like, it just seemed dead. And which was interesting. But then we started winning. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh my goodness, this is a good team.
Yeah.
Like things are great. And then all of a sudden you started to see 6,000 people in that stadium. And the fans came out and they were going crazy and they were going nuts, and it changed a lot. And then all of a sudden those games became really rowdy, and every game that we played after that was rowdy because we were good, and all these other fan bases wanted to come see us play. And there was a great opportunity to play against or play in front of some amazing fans. And China has some great fans. They love basketball, and it's just it's a fun place to be. But the place that was by far the craziest was in Europe. Like when I played for Panathinaikos in Greece, those are by far the most passionate and craziest fans that you can come across. Is it the same
as those like Instagram videos you see of like these outdoor courts? It might have been Serbia or something, but there's
Serbia,
flares, and it's like
exactly
a mob.
It's literally a crazy atmosphere. They have flares. They're doing them in the stadium. I don't even know how they allow them. Right? It's smoke in the stadium, and they're jumping up and down. They're screaming the whole game, and it's
intimidating.
It is intimidating. Yeah, the first time you get out there, you're like, whoa, what is going on here? This is like life or death to these people, and like literally. So they live and die by every shot that goes in, and that is an interesting way to play, because it's fun, because the atmosphere is amazing. You get crazy amount of adrenaline like you've never felt before, but at the same time there's a lot of pressure because of, if you don't win this game, what's going to happen?
The stakes are high.
The stakes are high. The stakes are very high in those games. EuroLeague games are very intense, and you feel it for sure.
They play such like rough basketball. Like even the 5-on-5 and especially the 3x3 teams, they are so physical.
Yeah.
They play, I don't know what you would call it. I call it like bully ball. Like they're physical. They want to dominate in every sense of the word, like mentally and physically,
Yep.
It's an interesting culture because, how do you beat that without becoming that? You know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of aspects that are unhealthy just for the soul of a human. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot that's like, well, somebody's got to be able to match that.
Yeah.
And rein it in,
Yeah.
What were the best ways that you found to bond with your multicultural teammates, your international teammates?
Yeah, you got to get to know them. And that's what I found, specifically when I was in China, right? Like not everyone spoke English super well, so it's hard to communicate with some of our teammates. Some of them spoke great English, just kind of depended. I had a translator that would help, but you weren't with them in every situation on the court or on the practice. And but the thing that I learned about China, especially as an import, they call us imports, right? Like anybody that's not an actual
an
actual Chinese player. There's only 2 of them on the team, and they call us imports. So if you're
that's a different culture out there, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with that here.
Yeah. So that's what it was, and they always saw, a lot of the Chinese guys saw a lot of their imports as kind of guys that came in to get a paycheck, to play, and to be there, and then just kind of go home and not have to not worry about too much else. When I got there, I tried to make a really big effort to get to know who the guys were and talk to them and be like, hey, who are you? Like, what's your family like? Do you have siblings? Do you have kids? Like, let's go hang out. I want to know about you. And because I did that, they loved me. And like, I loved them. It went back and forth. And it was just an incredible experience to get to know these players at a level. And then when they were out in the court, they did anything to help you win. Right. And they're like, Jimmer, just shoot the ball. Like, I'm going to set a screen for you, do this. They didn't feel any type of jealousy or anything like that. They were just like, I want us to win. I know where your heart's at. I know how you play the game. We're in this together. I know you're going to do what is right for the game in that specific time. So let's go do it. And sometimes it was me scoring, and sometimes it was me giving it up and getting to those guys. But they knew that I cared about them. And so because of that, like, we had such a great relationship. I think that's why we played so well on the court together. And we had a good camaraderie with the coaches, with the players. And that's why I stayed there for 4 years. They wanted me to continue to come back.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time that I told them, I was like, I'm not going to be coming back. It was emotional. We had guys crying in the locker room because they loved me and I loved them, and they wanted me to stay. And I understood that. And I would have loved to. I just had other things that needed to happen here at home,
Of course.
with the family. And but we just had great relationships. But that's what I challenge people. You really got to get to know people and actually care about them. And if you do, then you can build that relationship on the court.
Well, that experience has got to contrast so strongly from your time in Sacramento. I don't want to go too far off topic here, but you've talked about, like, when we were there was changes in the organization, and there was a young core, and nobody really wanted to be there. They thought their career was going to blossom somewhere else, and so everyone's trying to get their own.
Yeah.
Were you still trying to do that, build relationships with guys, or were you in a different mindset at the time, and or was the whole situation just different and not really?
Yeah.
You just couldn't really cultivate that.
I wasn't as good at it then. I will say that, admittedly, right? Like, I didn't try to cultivate those relationships as well, and I think I learned that. Like, I gotta to understand people and get to know people better in order to be a good teammate. I think, for me, it's hard because it's such a, it was so dramatically different for me from going to BYU and the camaraderie that we had to going to an NBA team, not specifically Sacramento, but just NBA in general. It's just way more siloed. You're just you don't hang out with the guys all the time. Everyone's got their own house. They got their own boys. They got their own clan that they're hanging out with. You may have a couple of guys that you really get good relationships with, and you hang out with them on the road, but it's not a team thing as much. They're professionals. Like, they've been playing basketball for a long time, and they understand the professional basketball game. And when you go in as a rookie, you don't understand that as much. And yeah, it was a lot of turmoil, a lot of things that were going in and out for the games of, like, how do we figure this thing out? We have an interim head coach, and our GM's getting fired, and all this stuff, right? So it was a tough situation for everyone. And I wish I would have done a better job of trying to get to know the guys. But at the same time, I was a little nervous because, guys were kind of going out and doing their own thing, going to the parties and doing all that different types of stuff, which I just didn't really want to do. And I didn't know how to handle it super well because it made it seem like, oh, maybe I shouldn't really get to know them super well or be good friends with them because of the fact that if they do, they're going to ask me to go do stuff at a club and I'm going to have to say no. And I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of stayed private because of that. And I wish I would have done a better job of just opening up and let them know who I am even more so, and then get to know them even better. And then, try to cultivate that relationship even better with some of my teammates like I did, later on in my career. So I definitely think I could have done a better job that way.
Of course. Well, you were doing the best with what you knew. You were doing the best with what you knew at the time, right? I mean,
that's how it works, right?
So you take all of these lessons, and let's look at your time with Team USA now.
Yeah.
You are representing your country. Like, how cool is that?
Oh, it's amazing.
So what was the biggest difference about yourself when you reemerged, so to say, on the national and international scene?
I just knew who I was. You know what I mean? Like, I was really comfortable in my own skin. I was really comfortable with where I was at as far as a basketball player, how my career had gone, my personality, all of those things. Like, I was really comfortable with that. And then going into USA basketball, it was really a great opportunity to just play basketball for fun again. And that was like a big thing for me. You play 11 years professionally. Not all of that is fun, right? Like, some of that stuff is a grind and it's hard.
Of course.
And you get into USA basketball for 3x3 and you're playing outside. You play to 21 and it's a really quick, fast-paced game, super physical, a lot of fun. And because of that, all of a sudden you're like, man, this is great. I am enjoying this so much, because it literally brings me right back to when I started playing basketball. I started playing basketball outside with my brothers, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, whatever it was. And you just go out there and play, and you just figure out how to win a game. And that's what this was, and I just loved that about it. So it brought back those memories. I enjoyed it. Plus I was playing for Team USA. I have a lot of pride for our country and where we live, and would love to always have represented. I love the Olympics and just all of those different competitions. I've always gravitated towards it. So to be in that position and to know who I was as a person and feel super comfortable with my game and my playing, just felt really good, and I was excited about the opportunity.
And it's interesting how when you got to that mindset, similar to when you were in college, things kind of towards the beginning of your career figured out as kind of a general term, but you were pretty confident in who you were. The highs and lows didn't affect you very much. There was a tumultuous middle where it wasn't all a mess, but there was just so much friction and resistance in that time of life. And now you're back. And not only are you back, you're ranked like number 1 in the world, at least in that event. But it's interesting how the common factor was like, you're just confident in who you are, and you're focused on having fun in the game. Like that's powerful, I think.
It is. It's powerful. And I always tell people, like, not everyone can do exactly what they want to do, as a job. Like sometimes you don't have that opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
But I would challenge people to try to find what you love and make sure you dive into it. Like give it a chance at least, because I think that's one of the things, like you can have a lot of regret if you don't at least go for it and, try to play as best as you can or try to do whatever it is the best that you can. Because if you can make a living or, have something in your life that you just truly love and enjoy and can do that, it's so fun, right? Like you feel fulfilled, you feel enjoyed, you feel enjoyment, and just you have a great opportunity to show who you are as a person, and you're gonna perform better. Like if you're doing something that you love, you're gonna perform better, and I just think it's a really great opportunity if you can find that in your life.
When you reemerged for Team USA, you were more confident in who you were. You knew who you were and why you enjoyed the game. In all of the years leading up to that, what are the key lessons that Whitney taught you, either through her example or through her counsel?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think she's put a ton of stuff in perspective for me. She is not like one of those, she's not a person who tries to blame others. She is very much about, hey, I didn't do this good enough, and that's why something happened. And I think I had been in a point where you can feel sometimes in a point where you're like, my situation wasn't because of me or whatever it was. Like there's a lot of outside things that you can talk to. Oh man, if the coach would have just played me, I would have just been much better. If this guy just wasn't there, or if they just passed me the ball more, I'd be much better. Like all these different things. Well, Whitney's not like that. Whitney's like, well, what could you do better? Like, and I really thought about that in like perspective of like, man,
you're like, no, Whitney, you're not listening to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, cause I'm coming home venting.
Yeah.
And then, and what could I do better? And that's always been her mindset of like, don't feel sorry for yourself. Like go out and do it. Go out and do something better. And so
good.
So I went out and thought about like, yeah, what could I do better? Like it's not poor Jimmer. Like this is not what it should be. I should be thinking about how I can get better, how I can do better. There's things that I obviously didn't do as well enough to get to be playing more, or other things. So when I thought about it in that perspective, it helped me so much, because then I wasn't pitying anything. I was like, man, I just need to go do better. And then when I was like, when opportunities came to me that were, like a China or a Greece or the USA basketball, I took full advantage of it. I was like, I'm just going to go do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities, and I'm not going to make an excuse. And then I had real great success in those opportunities because I did that, and it worked out even better than I thought I could. And then you don't have that regret anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge thing that she taught me throughout my life.
That principle of extreme ownership is massive. You were one of the things that I've really loved about what you've taught me personally is it was in Paris. I think it was the second game. It was against Poland where you got injured, and it just knocked you out. And now your team is down their captain, the best player in the world. There's all these reasons to be really upset about the situation, and I don't want to downplay any of the feelings that you probably felt in your private moments, but the example that you showed the public was unbelievably calm, steady leadership. You could tell that the relationship you had built with your team was a lasting one because you were on the sidelines the whole game and you were coaching your heart out. And when they would call timeout, they'd come in exhausted. And I would see you in the middle, you were passionate, you were loud, and they were listening to you. You can imagine in so many other situations, they'd be like, all right, you know what? Like, you can talk when you're on the court, you know? But I had reached out to you and just expressing just support, and you replied, you're like, hey, everything's good. I'm excited for the challenge. And, like that is powerful.
Yeah, it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like that 2 years of my life wanting to play in the Olympics, like we were the favorite going into that event.
Yeah.
Like we easily could have won a gold medal. Like that was our goal. That's what I thought was going to happen. You know, if not gold medal, we were medaling. Like we were playing so well, and that's been a dream of mine my whole life, you know, and that happened. It was really hard. It really was a lot of tears. My wife was devastated, you know, I think she took it harder than I did, to be honest with you. And it was really hard. And my teammates, it was that meeting where I had to tell them that I couldn't play anymore was one of the most emotional meetings I've ever had. And I was so proud of those guys to go out there and play. And I was like, well, what can I do? I can't play. Like, there's no way I can do it. It's unfortunate. I would have tried to done. I mean, I was thinking about putting like a elastic band around my leg and attaching it to my other leg so that I could get it to work.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, it's just probably not going to work. And I was like, man, like it hurt a lot, you know, like it just wasn't working. And so I was like, what can I do? I can help, try to coach. That's the best thing that I could do, but I couldn't tell anybody what the injury was, because if I did, FIBA would not let me sit on the sidelines, because they would say that you have no chance to play. So they would make you not sit on the sidelines. So I couldn't tell anybody. So the media didn't know. Everyone's like, what's going on? And, you know, but I decided that was the best thing for us and the team. And I just tried to coach and yell at the refs and yell at the teammates and do as much as I possibly could, and leadership role of understanding that. And the guys fought so hard. Ultimately, it wasn't meant to be. You know, everything happens for a reason. But, you know, it was definitely an unfortunate thing, and life lesson that things don't always work out the way you want it to.
Well, take me into that room when you made the announcement. What did they say to you? What did your teammates do?
I mean, they were devastated because I was someone who wasn't supposed to be in 3x3 basketball, like generally speaking. Like a guy that's played in the NBA for a long period of time, the guy that's played 11 seasons professionally, has made a lot of money, doesn't need to do this, but has decided to play 3x3 basketball where it's not super glamorous. The places you're staying aren't 5-star. The travel is really hard. And then I took it and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I was with them the whole time, and they respected it. So we had a brotherhood, and literally a brotherhood that was very difficult to break. And so because of that, when it happened, it felt like a brother was going down, and they just were just so sad. And I remember one, you know, Dylan, he was like, this shouldn't have happened to you. Like, out of all of us, this shouldn't have happened to you. And that meant a lot to me, because, you know, he's like, you've done things the right way. You've played your heart out. You're a leader of this team. And he's like, it shouldn't have happened to you. And that was powerful to hear. And it was really hard. But that was, you know, the meeting of what we had and the brothership that we had. And, but didn't make it any easier, you know, and I just told the guys, you need to go out there and fight. That's what you need to do. Just go out there and fight, whether you win or not. I don't care. Just go fight and represent the USA the best you can.
And how awesome that opportunity is now translated to you being the managing director You have a lot of say in the program now.
Yeah.
A lot of influence.
Yeah.
And I mean, what better mentor to those players than someone who had the experiences you've had?
Yeah.
And if those guys go on to accomplish something phenomenal in the Olympics, and what is it Los Angeles?
Yeah,
2028. So I mean, it's like the home court, like it's teed up for an amazing thing already.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And it would probably be a similar feeling to if your kids were to eclipse some of your own accomplishments. how much happier you would feel.
Yeah, totally. I'm super excited about it. Yeah, I get to pick the team and everything. A lot of pressure as far as that's concerned too, to figure out the right guys to go play, but to help build the program and make it sustainable for the future and hopefully make a run at 2028 is going to be super rewarding. So I'm just hopeful. And having fun with it and enjoying it and being a part of this. And grateful to USA Basketball to think of me as someone who could help run a program for them. It's a prestigious thing to be able to do, and I'm grateful for it.
Well, I think they made a great pick.
Thank you.
In our last few minutes, Jimmer, I want to just switch here to your partnership at Tandem Venture. So you're a partner at a venture capital firm, Tandem. Can you speak more to like what your role is there, and how you define your success in your role on a day-to-day scale versus kind of the long-term scope?
Yeah, for sure. I've been partner at Tandem Ventures for the last 3 years, which has been awesome. Like, I'm fortunate they asked me to do so. And I've been working with Alex Bean and McKay Dunn and Zach Kerr and Noah Jarvis and a lot of these guys for a long period of time, and just awesome people to work with. And I love being able to be in the business world, right? Like, you couldn't play basketball forever. I knew that, so I'd have to start doing something, and something that I'm enjoying. What could I enjoy after basketball? And I've been investing a lot in my life throughout my basketball career, and I've enjoyed it. And to be able to do it more officially in this capacity has been awesome. So I help find deals. I help raise money for the deals that we find. I help some of our portfolio companies be able to help find clients that they want to get in touch with using my network to be able to do that, which is a huge thing for some of our portfolio companies that are early stage tech companies that don't have big sales teams. So to be able to help them do that, that's a big value add for us. And hopefully be successful in the business world is something that I want to accomplish. It's not to just be known as a basketball player, but someone who could do something in the business world as well.
Yeah, it's like Steve Young.
That's right.
I mean, that's what he's doing now.
Playbook. Exactly.
How do you view stewardship? What's your philosophy on the stewardship you have over your own money and stewardship over other people's money?
Yeah. First of all, figure out how to not lose it. Like, that's like the biggest thing, right? Like the downside protection so the due diligence process is really huge for us, just to make sure that we know who we are investing with. Like, the CEOs and the leadership of these companies are as big as anything. You're dealing with people, and people can figure out most of the time the right market and the right fit for their company and pivot the way that they need to make sure that they're successful. So the people are huge, and that's what I feel like I'm pretty good at. I've been dealing with people my whole life, with teams and stuff, and I can see when someone understands the knowledge of what they need, but also understands of how to get things done the way that they need to get things done, and how to be a leader, and how to get other people to do things at a high level. And if you can find that, then you have a really good CEO or a really good C-suite level people. And if you can find that, then you're probably going to be good with that investment. So those are all big things, trying to find those good people that are involved. And so
how do you identify a great founder?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to a great basketball player or a great leader. Like, how do they speak with people? Do they truly believe in their product? Right? Is that something that do they really believe in? What can they sell it within 2 sentences? Right? Like, do I, as a person who's coming in with no experience at the company, can they convey to me what their product is in a very simple manner so that they can sell it? Right? Like, if it's too confusing, you're like, well, I don't know if I can't handle, if I don't know what this is and I know I'm in the business, how is other people going to know what it is? So I think that that's something. And then how they treat people, how they talk to people, how they interact with you when you're on the call or when you're in a meeting with them, understanding, are they truly there? Like, do they want to be there? Are they focusing in on you? Like, do you think that they can understand what other people in the company need? All of those little things matter. when you're looking at CEOs and companies, and do they have a full knowledge of what their vision is and where they want to go with the companies.
Let me end with just one last question. What's the kindest thing anybody has ever done for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember specifically when I was in China, I had a family, the Cook family. They're pretty high up in doTERRA. They were in China at the time, and I was out there by myself a lot of the time. My family wasn't there, so that was difficult. And I remember meeting them at church, and they immediately invited me over to their house. And I remember going over there, and they welcomed me, and they made me feel so comfortable and made me feel so much at home that afterwards they invited me over pretty much every Sunday. When I wasn't there, they invited me to Thanksgiving dinner. They invited me to Christmas. They do all of these things to make sure that I felt like I was part of their family when I was out in China. And that really helped me feel much more comfortable there. And that was a big reason of why I was able to stay for such a long time. So that was so nice of them. So it was such a generous act of kindness, and genuine people who I still have amazing relationship to this day, that really, just made me feel comfortable in a place that was probably very uncomfortable for me to be.
Thank you so much for your time, Jimmer. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you having me, and this is awesome.
If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the podcast on Instagram at the handle Momentum Theory Pod, where I'll be announcing new episodes weekly, as well as sharing my top takeaways from every conversation. As always, I invite you to please share this episode with anyone you think could benefit from the conversation. So long for now, and thank you for tuning in.